Welcome back. We are continuing our SEL series. Our focus is calming strategies that can work in the classroom. Sometimes individual students or even the whole class need a moment to pause and calm down. This is natural. Having the tools to support this need in the classroom is important. Let's take a look at some calming strategies we can use in the classroom. Well, all right, so we're going to continue our SEL series, social emotional learning series, and we're going to focus in on calming strategies. This came about organically in doing the self-management video. We hit on ways students can self-manage, and calming strategies came up, and I thought it beneficial that we explore that a little bit further in order to provide the right amount of tools for teachers to utilize in the classroom. All right, so we're going to have an overview and a purpose. We're going to look at key traits and strategies. We'll look at benefits and examples and some keys to remember. So what's the purpose of calming strategies? It helps students regulate their emotions. It reduces disruptions and improves focus, and it builds resilience. So the calming strategies help them regulate their emotions. They're aware of them. Now I'm managing my emotions, and by doing so, I reduce the disruptions that I cause. My focus is improved. And ultimately, as I do this more consistently as a student, I can build the resilience and the efficacy to understand that, hey, I have the ability to regulate my emotions. I don't have to let my emotions get the best of me. So what are calming strategies? They're techniques to help students manage stress, regulate emotions, and return to learning readiness in the case of the classroom, right? So we're looking at providing them with the resources, no different than any other academic subject, where we're providing them with the resources and the skills they need in order to address this particular area of concern for themselves, right? Everybody has some form of stress, okay? It's how we deal with and regulate it that determines, the impact. So we want to start teaching our students early on how to deal with stress, because they may not know. They may not know how to regulate their emotions, okay? And we can't make the assumption that somebody else is going to teach them. As a teacher, as an educator, I'm looking at it like that's a problem in my classroom. I'm not going to wait. Oh, is the school going to roll out something? No, I'm not waiting on that. I'm going to take this in my own hands, and we're going to deal with this because it's directly impacting me. So if for no other reason, as an educator, selfishly say, I'm tired of the disruptions. I'm tired of these emotions going all over the place. We're going to learn how to calm ourselves down. Okay. So what are the key traits of calming strategies? They're consistent, they're predictable, they're inclusive, they're student-centered, and they're trauma-informed. The student-centered is the piece that I want to harp on. You should, as an educator, you should not be regulating which strategies students are going to use. We introduce them to them, give them an array of strategies, and allow them to figure out which ones work best for them, okay? It shouldn't be teacher dictated. It should be student-centered and student choice. So why do students need calming strategies? Because they're human, okay? Because they're human and they are dealing with stress. Oh, they're just kids. No, they're humans, okay? And they have stress factors. Academic pressures, social conflict, and anxiety, right? And these last two, social conflict and anxiety, has increased amongst our student population because of social media, okay? Social media has its great points and then it has its dark side, just like anything else, right? But social conflicts, you have access to so many more people that the students don't know how to regulate somebody from, Taipei putting a nasty comment on their TikTok, right? How do I deal with that? That person doesn't like me, and I don't even know this person. Why? That's stressful. That's stressful. And they have anxiety. Why? Because, again, they're bombarded with all of these factors from the world now that in previous generations, you may have heard about them, but you weren't face to face with them, right? And then the classic academic pressure, that's always been, a student stressor since, you know, compulsory education was created. So, you combine all those things, these students are going through things. And this doesn't even include like family conflicts. This doesn't include, divorce or all these other sub stressors that could be in this child's life. So just like adults, students need ways to deal with these stress factors. So what does brain science say? Calming strategies reduce stress responses. They improve focus, memory, and executive function. So as an adult, I'm like, hey, I deal with a whole lot of stress. I'm taking some me time. It's a spa day. I'm doing my meditation. I'm doing my, whatever it is. We see it as a priority that we have strategies to deal with stress. So why do we think the students don't? Okay, if it's a priority for us as adults, why wouldn't it be a priority for the students? Okay, in addition, think of it as a teaching opportunity. If I as an adult realize how impactful stress can be on a person's life, why wouldn't I want to teach the next generation how to better deal with these stress factors? So what are some classroom considerations? Making sure that it's developmentally appropriate. If you're dealing with kindergartners, you want to pick strategies that align with kindergarten. If you're dealing with middle schoolers, you might have some different approaches. Okay, in high school, you might have some different approaches. So making sure that the strategies you introduce are developmentally appropriate. You want to make sure that they're culturally responsive. And most importantly, this should not be a punishment. Oh, you acting all crazy in my class. Go over there and do a calming strategy. No, please stop. It should not be punitive. Okay, this should be an opportunity for students to become self-aware and learn skills and strategies to manage their emotions, feelings, and behaviors. Okay, it should not be a punishment. So, universal strategies. We have morning meetings. Maybe we talk about how we feel, how we're feeling today. Okay. You have mindfulness, calming music. I use this a lot. I'm a music person. I love music, and I use calming music and sometimes different types of music to change the vibe of the classroom, right? But if I'm talking about calming strategies, I want to use calming music. I want to use calming tones. We also have stretching. They can do that at their desk. They can stand up. They can push their chair in. They can do jumping jacks. They can do stretches. I've actually done this in the classroom in previous years. And I had high school people. So I had a bunch of 9th graders and 12th graders and 10th graders doing jumping jacks, doing stretches, boom. And all of a sudden, it's like, oh, that was fun. Not even realizing, we're calming ourselves down. We're getting rid of that excess energy and things like that. You can also have reflection routines and breathing exercises. These are universal strategies that you can adjust to the developmental appropriateness that you need for your specific students. So what are some individualized supports? Calming corners. I want to reiterate, it should not be punitive. You've seen it, I've seen it, where calming corner becomes basically timeout, or go back a couple of generations, go to the corner. Okay, that's not what we're doing here. It's an opportunity for me to step away. I choose to step away. I choose to go to this corner where I have stimuli that are going to support my calming of my emotions and my regulation of my behaviors. You can use fidgets, headphones. This was a big thing that I ran into dealing with high schoolers. Administrator comes in, students are working independently or in a group, and they're like, why does he have his headphones on? Because Johnny's not having a good day. He needs some music to help keep him focused. Oh, headphones aren't allowed. I'll take the hit for that. Because once you walk out of that classroom and you take away Johnny's headphones, you're not the one who has to deal with Johnny. Okay, you're gone back to your office. So Johnny's going to use these headphones. Okay, plain and simple. Visual schedules, emotional check-ins, and you can even do nature walks. Okay, well, I have high schoolers. I'm telling you, you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. So let's get into some of the specific strategies. We have deep breathing. Okay, this is a simple one. Students can do it, at their desk. They can do it, in the classroom. They don't have to go anywhere. And here are 4 different breathing techniques that you can try. See which ones the students identify with, which ones they like. You have box breathing, where you breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, breathe out 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds. Okay? Pretty straightforward. Then you have balloon breathing. You inhale fully, you exhale fully, and you place your hands along your abdomen, or you can put them around your mouth, where you can actually feel the balloon, growing, if you will. All right. The 5-finger breathing, you hold your hand up, rocking and rolling. You breathe out with the thumb, breathe in, breathe out with 1 finger. So each finger, you kind of count down, if you will. You breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. All right. And then the bunny breath, inhale 3 short breaths through the nose, now exhale once through the mouth, right? So it's, can y'all hear me breathing? And if you've ever seen like a bunny while their nose goes back and forth, because they're breathing. I did not know that. All right, fun fact. All right, so these are 4 breathing techniques that you can introduce, see which ones the students like. Not all the students have to do the same breathing technique. They can try different ones, see which ones resonate for them, and make them feel like they're calmer. Okay, you also have mindfulness strategies. You can have guided meditation. Again, you want to make sure that you're culturally responsive and aware of your student population, especially with guided meditation. Some of the language of meditation could go against certain cultural beliefs, so you want to be mindful of it. Gratitude moments. Hey, what are we thankful for today? Okay, what are we happy about? What are we thankful for? Reminding ourselves that, hey, everything is not bad. Mindful listening. It can be a paired activity. And if you want to utilize technology, the Smiling Mind app walks students through different strategies and techniques that you can utilize. So maybe you have a student who needs some individualized approaches. You can put them on Smiling Mind app or one of the other SEL apps and allow them to go through the strategies on their own. So what are some movement-based strategies? Yoga. And there are chair yoga activities that students can do. You can do brain breaks. Again, I think I mentioned it in one of the other videos. Expecting students to be, focused academically, for 8 hours a day consistently is not realistic. So you need an opportunity. Maybe that brain break is just listening to some quiet music. Everybody just sits still for a while. Maybe it's something kinesthetic. You determine that. You can do chair exercises and then movement transitions. All right, we're going to go from the table to the floor in a circle. Allow students to move. Sometimes their emotions and their behaviors are exasperated by the potential energy that they're holding, right? They have to sit still. So I have all this energy and I have nowhere to release it. Oh, well, that's what, recess is for. Come on now. Okay. So incorporate movements within your lesson or transitions as well, and you can burn some of that excess energy. All right, so going back to the calming corner, right? Again, it should not be something punitive. This is not, oh, you're not acting right, you need to go over to the calming corner. It's not punitive, okay? You want to provide a safe, emotional reset space with calming tools and reflection supports. So you want to have fidgets, you want to have, wording and steps. Even in the example, you see the rainbow, it says count to 10, take a deep breath. So you're reiterating some of the strategies that you've introduced. The calming corner should be a place that they feel comfortable going to on their own, and they are not being sent there as a punishment. Teacher language is important. Okay, use supportive and reassuring language to promote emotional regulation. Again, we're not trying to be punitive. We're trying to support. Oh, you're not having a good day? I can see it. Okay, do you need a minute? You want to go over to the calming corner? Give them a choice. Give them an option. Use supportive and reassuring language to promote that emotional regulation. And believe it or not, this may take the teacher using some common strategies before they have this conversation. Maybe the teacher needs to take a breath before they address that behavior. Just saying. So what are the benefits, right? As a teacher, it reduces stress. You get better classroom management because students are self-regulating, and you create stronger relationships. You understand me as a teacher. You understand, my plight as a student, and you're trying to give me strategies to help me better myself. Like, it's not just about the academics with you, and I appreciate that. So it creates stronger relationships. For the students, improved emotional control. They can focus better. They can participate without, going off the hinges, and it improves their peer interactions. Sometimes students don't want to work with other students because any little thing sets that person off. Well, if I show that person how to regulate their emotions, now all of a sudden people want to work with you and you feel more included. And then for the school, you have an overall improved school climate, attendance, and reduced disciplinary referrals. So what's the impact on achievement? I'm regulating myself. I am therefore more focused, which allows me to learn more. It's that simple. So what are some grade band examples? So elementary, you can have breathing buddies, movement games, and feeling check-ins, right? And we talked about some examples earlier that are universal and you just adjust them accordingly. I tried to drill it down a little bit to be more reflective of the developmentally appropriate strategies. So for middle school, you have reflection journals, music-assisted transitions, and mindfulness activities. High school, goal-setting reflection. So instead of being overwhelmed by all these different classes I have to take, I'm taking the AP class, I'm taking the honors this, I'm doing this, I got an exam here, but all right, let's stop, let's slow down. Okay, let's prioritize, set some goals for ourselves, okay? Quiet reset spaces. Again, I'll use the example, with the kid with the headphones. Sometimes, boom, just put on some headphones, listen to some calming music, some relaxing music for a second, boom, just chill out, all right? I'm gonna give you about 3 minutes. That gives you a whole song. All right, about 3 minutes, you get a whole song. Boom, come back ready to go. And stress management routines. So what are some of the challenges and possible solutions? So time. Charles, I don't have enough time to be incorporating, calming strategies. Okay. You don't have time for that right now. Cool. That means you have time to deal with all the disruptions that come as a result of that. Okay. So if time is an issue, plan intentionally, incorporate it into your lessons. We're going to do the warm up. We're going to introduce, this topic. We're going to deal with this skill set. And as our brain break, we're going to learn the bunny breathing technique. We're going to go back to our instruction, and now we're going to learn the box breathing technique. Okay, incorporate it and plan it intentionally. If you have resistance, highlight the results and the impact. Hey, you can be better regulated. You don't have to get in conflict with all your friends. You don't have to go off. Use yourself as an example, okay, to show the results and the impact of regulating your emotions. You can use your own personal experiences. And if consistency is a problem, you can, like I said before, integrate it into the lesson where it becomes routine. So some keys to remember: emotional regulation is teachable. The sooner we teach it to them, the better, the more they can practice with it, the better they will get at it. And calm students learn better. Like when you're focused, when you're relaxed, even as an adult, if there's too much going on, I don't have the bandwidth for this right now. That's what we tell other adults, right? I don't have the bandwidth for that right now, because you're not calm, right? So students are the same way. You want them to learn, your grammar lesson, and they're like, I'm dealing with the fact that I'm homeless, my mother is not in the house, and I'm responsible for my 3 siblings. I don't have the bandwidth for your grammar right now. All right, let's try some strategies to calm down a little bit. Boom. And then I'm also going to provide, in that case, now that I think about it, I'm also going to provide additional resources, because that's trauma informed and you may need some outside resources. But overall, calm students learn better, just like any other human. If we're calm, we're relaxed, we can receive and we can perform. So a little reflection. Ask yourself this question: how can calming strategies improve your classroom culture? Not your neighbors. Oh, Miss Jenkins down the street, down the hall, she need this. No. How can calming strategies improve your classroom culture? Okay. If you're already doing some, put it in the chat. What are some things that actually work? Thank you. We hope that was helpful. Remember, students may not know how to calm down. Teaching them how to benefits everyone. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you next time.